Tammy says Wells Fargo enrolled them in a government program that protects people who are financially hurt by COVID, putting a hold on their mortgage. But they don't need the help.
I have the ability to pay. I want to pay.
You specifically said to Wells Fargo, I don't need any help. I don't want any help.
Yes.
Wells Fargo continues to do what Wells Fargo has historically done: screw over their own customers, screw over their own borrowers, and they're doing it at a time when interest rates are at record lows, where Americans, understandably, are looking to refinance their mortgages and save potentially hundreds of dollars every single month on the cost of housing. But in order to do that, you need to have a clean credit record. And if you are in forbearance, meaning if there is a suspension of your mortgage payments due to coronavirus, you ain't gonna qualify for a refinance. And guess what? Right now, there are various cases in 14 different states indicating that Wells Fargo is placing borrowers in forbearance without their permission. This is a huge problem and they should be called out for it. Again, when you're placed in forbearance as a borrower, you're unlikely to be able to refinance. It is reported and noted in your credit report, which is why it makes it so difficult to refinance. And by the way, your bank should not volunteer you or do things on your behalf without your permission and without the proper documentation. And that is what's happening with Wells Fargo right now. Now, let me give you some more details on what the forbearance program is, because the program itself is important and it is helping a lot of Americans. But Wells Fargo is exploiting it to prevent their own customers from refinancing and possibly taking their business elsewhere. So to protect troubled borrowers from harm to their credit reports during the pandemic, the CARES Act states that if a bank makes an accommodation to a customer or consumer, such as suspending mortgage payments, it can't report a change in the borrower's status, such as no longer being current on the loan. But Wells Fargo is actually reporting that borrowers are in forbearance, and that indicates a major shift in their status, right? Raising questions about the practice. This goes against what the CARES Act specifically says banks cannot do. Now, last week, NBC News reported that there are borrowers who have been placed in Chapter 13 bankruptcy, with Wells Fargo placing them in forbearance without their permission, right? So they're going through the bankruptcy proceedings. They do not want to be in forbearance, and Wells Fargo is placing them in forbearance anyway, further complicating their process of bankruptcy. Borrowers in at least 14 states have said that they've been forced into forbearance plans by Wells Fargo. That includes Alabama, Arizona, California, Florida, Kansas, Louisiana, Michigan, Missouri, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Texas, and Virginia. Now, why am I mentioning all of those states? Because this is not a mistake, even though Wells Fargo is trying to play this off as one. One of the spokespeople for Wells Fargo said, quote, "In the spirit of providing assistance, we may have misinterpreted customers' intentions in a small number of cases, except it's pretty hard to misinterpret intentions when there's no documentation indicating that these borrowers actually wanted to be in forbearance." So I just want to remind you all that Wells Fargo has gotten into so much trouble before, including signing their clients up for accounts that they did not want, doing it without their permission or their knowledge. And that led to a PR campaign that was laughable, to say the least. Here's a little snippet of that PR campaign.
We know the value of trust. We were built on it. Back when the country went west for gold, we were the ones who carried it back east. By steam, by horse, by iron horse. Over the years, we built on that trust. We always found the way. Until we lost it. But that isn't where the story ends. It's where it starts again. With a complete recommitment to you. Fixing.
Yeah, garbage. They've never been committed to their customers. They don't care about their customers. All they care about is their bottom line. The right ad to put out, if they wanted to be honest, was this one.
Hey, it's us, Facebook, Wells Fargo, and Uber. Remember how you liked us before we screwed you over? I mean, before you found out we screwed you over? Yeah, ever since then, it's been really hard for us. And even though we were penalized millions, nay, billions of dollars, we aren't done with our apology tour. Not because we're sorry, but because we still like your money as much as we did before, and we want it back. And we're spending millions of dollars on commercials during the NBA Finals because we thought if it went us, LeBron, us, Kevin Durant, us, a pregnant lady, your uncle, our CEO, close-ups of beautiful, diverse actors, then beer, then maybe, just maybe, you'd end up liking us as much as you like those other things. Like some weird corporate Ludovico technique. Oh, you don't know what a Ludovico technique is? Never mind, it's nothing. But please don't close your eyes during this. Surge pricing is fine. Surge pricing is fine.
Fraud's not hard. Fraud is not hard. Fraud is all I thought it would.
Uber, Wells Fargo, and Facebook. Like us, even a fraction of how much we like your money.
Cenk, nothing infuriates me more than people messing with individuals trying to make housing a little more affordable for themselves and their families.
Well, that's true.
It's infuriating.
Absolutely true that nothing pisses you off more. Okay, so look, I'm gonna unabashedly tell you about Aspiration. So they're one of our sponsors, but really you gotta get your money out of these dirty banks like Wells Fargo. Having it in a clean place where you can have peace of mind, it makes a giant difference. So they're not gonna rip you off like this. They're a progressive financial institution, aspiration.com/TYT. So in terms of Wells Fargo, look, if this is the first time, you could say, hey, maybe it was a mistake, and maybe the forbearance helps some people, and clearly it hurts others, as Anna explained. But almost every time that these big banks and big corporations make a mistake, it winds up helping them and not you. That's a curious coincidence. And in this case, it's really hard to make that argument for two reasons. One, this is exactly what Wells Fargo did before, signing up their clients for something they didn't sign up for so they could profit off of it without their permission. I mean, it's their MO. It's exactly what they do. In fact, for aspiration.com/TYT, I say that that's a win-win. And so sometimes I use that as that word is interchangeable. I know how clunky it is. That's why it's slightly funny. Anyway, in this case, Wells Fargo could mean basically signing you up for things that you didn't ask for that is gonna hurt you. So like if my wife signed me up for salsa dancing lessons, she'd be Wells Fargoing me.
You're the worst. You're just the worst. Like, she would actually help you. You guys would have fun. You would connect on a deeper level. You'd get some exercise, which would help with endorphins. Anyway, fine, you're missing out.
Okay, look, you're not gonna Wells Fargo me. I will not go to those salsa classes. Okay, I got plenty.
I love how you compared what Wells Fargo is doing to salsa classes.
Yeah, something equally painful.
Oh my.
Anyways, the second reason why Wells Fargo can't possibly be making a mistake here is there are no documents, as Anna pointed out. How do you put somebody in a program by accident? Because like if they checked off the wrong box, and a bunch of them did, 3% of the cases they checked off the wrong box. That's normal. And I'd be like, hey, listen, guys, I know we're not big fond of the big banks and stuff like that, but let's be fair. But here, they didn't fill anything out. There was nothing wrong to check off. So they just, and a lot of them magically moved into the forbearance column, which then prevents them from refinancing their mortgage. And remember, that's a twofer. You're not allowed to refinance at lower rates, and you can't move the money from the mortgage from Wells Fargo. So.
I'm so glad you mentioned that second part, Cenk, because I forgot to. But yeah, this is a way of preventing people from moving their loan from Wells Fargo to maybe a different bank, maybe even a credit union that offers a lower interest rate. So this is their way of ripping off their own customers again, in the middle of this pandemic.
When you sign up for a spend and save account at aspiration.com/TYT, We will plant 10 trees. Let's save the planet together.